guys. First of all, thanks for downloading the playtesting pack. Just wanted to run you through some of the game dynamics and cards so that if you couldn't be bothered reading all of the content on the site, you can watch this video and get a bit of an idea. I'll also upload a live playtesting game for you guys in a couple of days so that you can get a bit of an experience of the game mechanics as they work. But for now, I'm just going to run through some of the cards, what they do, some of the core rules and elements, and game setup. So, first of all, the cards. The first type of card I wanted to speak about was the Ryder cards. So, Ryder being kind of medieval term for a warrior. I've used that to talk about any of the cards that have rank and a number after them as a Ryder card. So they go from rank 1 through to rank 10, and when attacking, obviously rank 10 is the strongest, rank 1 the weakest. If you attack, if you're rank 5 and you attack another rank 5, you will be successful, and you'll also beat anything lower than your card. Anything higher than your card, you will fail. So at the bottom of each card, you can see that there's some words, different card. Every rank will have a different skill essentially. So rank 2 is to shuffle a field, rank 4 is to switch 2 players' cards, etc. So there's a bunch of different things that they do. Rank 8, 9 and 10, however, have a success or a fail skill. So if you attack with this card and you fail or you succeed, then either the success or the fail skill comes into play. So I was going to talk a little bit more about how skills work when I talk about the game setup and a thing called war cries. So we'll come back to that. A rank card will always fail if they attack a champion card. So let me talk about champion cards now. So we've got 4 types of champion cards. We've got the wizard, which is essentially just a one-shot kill anything. And we've got the king. That does a lot of complicated stuff, so best just to read that card. Hashishyan in 2-player mode is essentially the same as a wizard, but in 3, 4 plus player mode is an epically powerful card and a lot of fun when you get it. Queen is a bit of fun and a little bit of field management as well. So that's those ones there. Champion cards. I'm going to mention something a little bit later called war cries. You do not have to use war cries when playing a champion card. You simply place it in front of you rather than picking a player to attack, and then you read the card and act on whatever it says. The last type of card is a trigger card, and we have 2 types of triggers. We have traps. So at the moment, and for the playtesting, I've just got 2 types of traps. I've created one that is triggered upon picking up and placing into your deck if you're trying to replenish your field. That is the fire trap. And the other one, which is a bear trap, is one that you place in your field, and if it gets attacked or any action is put against it, your field is moved, or that card is gets to switched or whatever. If it's disturbed in any way by an opponent, then it's triggered, and the trap is sprung. You can read the details about that. The other trigger cards I have are replenish cards. And these are because when I was playtesting this with some groups of people, they like to speed through it. So they like to, everyone's turn is like a little snappy and going around really fast. And that meant with 5 players, or I think we did it once with 6 players, we actually went through the reserve really, really fast. And once the reserve's finished and the cards are all going on the table, that's the end of the game. So we were finishing a game super fast, and they said, it'd be good if there were some cards which could add back to the reserve. So I created these. If however you play slowly, maybe you like to have a drink and some chips and have a good conversation with your friends and just play it kind of casually, then you may not want to include these because it could turn a 20-minute or half an hour game into a 2-hour game, depending on how this works. So these replenish the reservoir at random intervals, essentially, when they're drawn or when they're triggered. So that's the different types of cards you've got. We've got your Ryder cards, your champion cards, and then your trigger cards. In terms of game setup, it's different depending on how many players you have, in that a 2-player setup requires less cards. So for a 2-player setup, you'll want to remove, probably want to remove the replenishers because you're using less cards for like us in the game. So you can discuss if you want to get rid of those or not. You may want to reduce the amount of traps, and you may want to reduce the amount of certain champions like Hashishins or whatever. So that's the main kind of part. So once you've reduced your deck to what you feel comfortable as in 2-player or 3 or plus, however you like it, then you give it a shuffle and everyone gets dealt 4 cards in turn. So I'm going to pretend that I'm playing here with 3 people. Never deal with yourself first. Okay. So the deck that's left, this is the reserve, and that's going to sit in the middle of the play. Now every player at this stage can look at their cards. They can have a look, see what they are, and then they've got to place them down in front of them in this formation, so 4 cards. They can look at them at any time, but once they place their cards, this is the formation that they'll stay in. So I'll do the same for these. And here as well. Now, before continuing play, and before we decide who goes first, this part's really important, that everyone chooses a war cry. There's multiple reasons for the war cry, but for now we're just going to pick a war cry. So mine will be Shazam, for instance, but it can be whatever you want. So everyone picks a one-word war cry or a phrase if they really want, and that phrase activates, or should I say, tells the other players that you are going to use the skill that is at the bottom of the Ryder card. So they're just for Ryder cards. There's some advanced gameplay for war cries as well. So if you use a war cry incorrectly, so let me explain how war cry works. If I want to use a war cry to say I'm going to use the skill that's on this card, I have to use it prior to flipping. So if my war cry is Shazam and I want to attack a card, I would bring this here and I would say Shazam, and then I would flip my card. If, however, I flip my card and say Shazam afterwards, then I've failed at the war cry. Now, if this card has a fail or a success metric on it, then instantly the fail occurs to the card, and whatever the negative effects happen straight away in the game. So it's important that if you want to use the bottom, you remember to say it before any part of the card is revealed to any player. So that's the war cry mechanic. You do not have to use war cry for champions because that's their skill is their attack. So it's just for these. The reason for it is I may choose to play a card without playing its skill, and there's lots of reasons why you do that. So then you wouldn't use a war cry. There's some other funnier things in there as well. I'll let you read the rules about them. How you can score cards off people by making them jump by saying your war cry, etc. But that's for you to read about. So the way that once we've got the field set up, the way it works is everyone says their war cry, and there is another element which you'll see again in the rules. They have to state their name for the game, which can come into play later. So say their war cry, state their name. Then everybody draws a card from here until everyone has at least one Ryder card. They flip them over, and you can't probably see all of these, but I have a rank 1, and there's a rank 7 over here and a rank 6 over here. The person with the highest rank card decides who goes first, and also the direction of play. And this is important because some people might think going first is the best option, but in a game where you don't know what other players have, going first means you could be attacking anything, and showing your hand without getting treasure, or you could fail in an attack that you really need to succeed in, whatever. Going second gives you the ability to at least see what one other person has, so you maybe have an idea of what move you should make. Going third gives you much more field of play, but then two other people have had a shot before you. So potentially at the very end of the game, once the reserves finish and everything's done, they may have got one more turn than you. So these are all things you have to think about if you are wanting to be playing first or second or third. So you would pick who goes first, and you also pick the player direction. So you might say, okay, you're going to go first and you're going to go anti-clockwise, or you're going to go first and you're going to go clockwise, or I'm going to go first and we're going to go clockwise. So you set that for the game. Once that's been established, then whoever is going first starts their move. So let's just say I'm going first. I have a look at my cards and I decide, okay, I'm going to play this card here. Now, this card here, for all of you at home, is a Ryder card. And I'm going to use the skill. So before I play with this card, I say Shazam, and then I pick any card on the field's card to attack. So I say Shazam here. Well, let's put it so you can see. So I say Shazam against this card. I turn over. This card here also has to turn over, and we see it to rank 5, and I'm a rank 3. So I fail in my attack. Now I've attacked, even though this guy has 1, he doesn't get my card. My card goes back where it was. However, I did say the war cry, and this is look at another player's card. 1 card only. So I can pick any player, because the skills are not just against who you attack, but anybody in the game. And I'm going to choose this guy here to sneak a peek and go, okay, great. Now I know what you've got there. So now I know that there's a 5 here, and from what I just saw here, I know that there's a rank 2 there, which is good to know, both 2 kind of low cards. But now it's this player's turn. He then goes, okay, well, I know you've got a rank 3 here. So he might just go, well, I'm going to, what's the skill on this one? Switch one of your cards with another player, right? Probably a bit early to use that skill because he doesn't know what it is. But if one of these is low, he might decide to do that. So he's got a 9 there, another 9, and a 2. Okay, so he might go Shazam, flip that to rank 5. He knows that I've got a rank 3. So straight away, he beats my card. So what happens? The point of the game is to gather as much treasure. So on the back, this is gold bullion. And for that treasure, whoever's got the most at the end of the game wins. So you put the treasure next to your deck, and that's going to stay there and build. But you also have the ability for a bit of field management with some cards to pull this back into your hand or switch cards for it if there's a card in your treasure that is worth being in your field, and that happens quite frequently. His rank 5 goes back in here, and his ability, because he used the war cry, is to switch 2 players' cards. He knows that this is a bad card because it's a rank 2. So he's just going to pick one other person's card and say, okay, I'm going to switch cards with you. And he got a rank 8, so that's pretty good. Puts that there. The benefit there is now he knows that there's a rank 2 here. So when it's his turn next, that's a pretty good target. It's a safe bet. The player over here, myself, replenishes their field, and the play continues. And now it's this person's turn. All right, so this person now knows that there's a 5 here. That's all they know. So they have a look through their hand and they have a rank 1. And we know that this is a rank 2 and this is a rank 2. So they've got a pretty bad hand. And their last one here is a rank 6. Perfect. So they might say there's no point in them using their skill because they don't have a graveyard. Well, there's no graveyard here. So they're going to come across here and attack this card straight. And this is a rank 5. So they're going to win that, put that in their treasury. This one goes back here. Card goes back. Done. Now it's back to me again. And again, the play continues. I have a look at my cards and I go, okay, I know they've got a rank 2 there. Battery went flat. So pretty much there. Just wanted to wrap up with a couple final game mechanics. So as a reminder, if I'm attacking my Ryder card with another Ryder card 2 and a 2, then I win that card. Now, some people have wondered if, well, I've suggested that if I attack with a 2 and I get a 3, right? And so I would fail that attack if this person would then get my card. The rule is that you only get cards when you're attacking. You don't get cards by defending. So that's how that part of the mechanics works. So that's Ryder cards. The champion cards, rather than playing them against a card, you just play it out in front of you and then you read it, auto-eliminate one card from one player's field to your treasury. And then this card, and that includes kings, queens, shushin, so all champions and wizards. This then goes to the graveyard, and obviously I would auto-eliminate whatever I want, but I don't really know what's good yet. So I got this card, that goes into my treasury. They refill, I refill. Round's done. Right, how does it end? Where does the game finish? The game finishes when this reserve is completely empty, either in people's treasuries or it's been emptied into the graveyard. So once this is completely empty, then no one can draw from the reserve, and then once everybody's cards on the table have been fought until there's none left, the last person standing, so let's say that I'm the last person standing, and I've got 2 cards left. I beat this guy here, and so I get his card, whatever it is. I now have 1 or 2 or 3 cards left. No one else has any. Whatever I've got left, the last person goes into their treasury. And then it's a simple matter of counting who has the most bullion or gold bullion in their treasury to see who wins. Now, if it's a draw, you've got the exact same amount of cards. You simply flip them over and you count, you sum up the ranks. So that would be 14, 20, 22 points for there. Queens, traps, none of those count as, not that you could have a trap in your treasury, as points if you're going to a decider. So that's it. Hope you enjoy playing, and I'd love obviously your feedback during this stage. I've got a local graphics artist here who's designing up all the cards, and I'm going to be working with him to make them look fantastic, but he'll be doing all the hard work. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what he comes up with, but it's really important I get some quality feedback from you guys as the guys who are putting through its test to see if there's any issues with gameplay, etc. Before we go to print. So really appreciate it, and if I do go to print, I'll make sure I look after you guys as well. Just send me your emails, and I'll just send you some wholesale decks or something we'll figure out. But appreciate all of your help. Thanks guys, keep in touch.